Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about the only problem I have with Amelia being the Red Ranger. So when I made a video about Amelia being like the third female Red Ranger, there's one thing I didn't mention because I didn't want to take away from that great moment, and I wanted to address this later. But it was something that was rattling around in my head, and I'm all like, I can't believe Power Rangers did it once again. And so, like, to be clear, I've seen the entire first season of Dino Fury. I forget how many episodes of the second season I saw. I know I saw the first. I probably saw the first half, I believe. It's been a good long time and I forgot. So I don't know what happens really in towards the end. I just know from spoiler review that it turns out she is an alien indeed from Zato's home planet, him and Ions. And so she never knew that, and it was hidden for her entire life. And so I like Amelia as a character, but I like Izzy a whole lot more. Just saying, Izzy's my favorite out of the entire Dino Fury one. And so while I'm totally thrilled that she is now the third female Red Ranger and another female leader, because we had a couple of them in the past with Jen and a whole bunch of others and stuff. My only one real problem with this is, one, they need to explain why exactly she is the Red Ranger and the leader of the Power Ranger team. And they need to explain why Zato got demoted. Once again, it's a black Red Ranger getting the demotion. This happened back in Space the very first time. And within Space, I'm all like, okay, look, I get it. I ran with the storyline, you know what I'm saying? The Rangers are in space. None of the Turbo Rangers know anything about space. This Alpha 6 has never been in space. Well, other than getting created in space, then later teleported, but he don't know nothing about space that much. And there was already a Red Ranger established because the writers decided to bring in a brand new, fresh Red Ranger for a more driven storyline with the whole astronomer and the Andros being kind of jerkish at first, and then later on he became friends with the Rangers, stuff like that. Plus Andros has been around space ever since he was little and a teenager and stuff like that, so he knows space. He knows things. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not exactly too thrilled that TJ had to be demoted into the Blue Ranger, but I can buy it as a story, plot thread or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? A plot device and stuff like that. I get it. He's not from space. He don't know nothing about space. You're gonna need a dude who's actually from space and knows stuff about space. I was totally okay with that. And plus, I was a teenager, you know what I'm saying? And so, but now this kind of contradicts that whole storytelling from In Space, because now we have Amelia, who's been earthbound the entire time, and she has never led a team. And now all of a sudden, they are in space, and the dude who actually knows about space has gotten, I don't know if he's demoted or promoted, or I don't know what color he is. He's kind of a grayish, yellowish white. I don't even know what color Ranger to call him. And stuff like that. And so it's kind of okay, why did he get demoted for? Shouldn't he be leading the team out in space? Because one, he was the original leader of the team, and two, now he's in space and he knows space. So why isn't he leading the team instead of this inexperienced person? Ion can't lead because he's proven to be too immature and everything. Even though he felt like he should have been the leader when he first came to Earth, but we know exactly why, because he's too gooberish and stuff. And so now that really makes me wonder, why exactly is she the leader? Now, I get it, times are changing, and they wanted to be the first of the truly first and have a full-time Red Ranger, but she's very inexperienced. I like how she's sweet and everything like that, and she loves her Pop, who's not really related to her now that we know. But she's never really done any type of leader-ish type role, and yeah. Like, it makes me wonder now, like, why did he get demoted and she got promoted, other than just trying to break barriers and everything? And I'm all for breaking barriers because they do a great job in that in other TV shows as well. But don't just break a barrier for the sake of breaking a barrier. You know what I'm saying? Because not only did TJ get demoted and now Zato, but remember Jack got demoted as well. He was the Red Ranger. He chose to step down because the writers wrote him to step down, and then Sky like took over. And every time a Black Ranger gets demoted, well, not a Black Ranger, but a Black person who is a Red Ranger gets demoted, it's always the white person who takes over their job. I don't understand that. Now, to be fair, Zato is the actor is half Black, half Asian, so that kind of makes it even worse. It's like one of those racial things. 'Cause, you know, like I've said like so many times in the past, I am a Black man, and so I always find it weird that the Black guy who plays like a Red Ranger is always getting demoted and everything. And they always give his powers to like a white person. I've never understood that. Thank God they do break barriers, and thank God Power Rangers is diverse, but they still lack that racial intensity, kind of similar to the original series when they had the Asian woman playing like, you know, the Yellow Ranger, and a Black guy playing a Black Ranger, and then, you know, like, you know, in a different stereotype of role, like the white dude being nerd and the white girl being a valley girl, and, you know, stuff like that. Now, they say they didn't do it intentionally, but can you really believe them? These are the same people that say this person left the show because of this reason, but then we later find out it's because of a completely different reason. Now, there are two other Black guys who were Red Rangers that never got demoted. One is Scott from RPM, and, you know, he never got demoted and stuff like that. But there's probably a reason why, because there wasn't really that many like Rangers or people in the city, and the other ones probably weren't like fit enough to take the job. But then there's another one, I'm not even sure if he's Black, and that is Shane. I honestly really don't know what race this dude is. When I first saw him, I thought he might have been like Samoan or something like that. You know, they're from New Zealand and everything, and plus that hair. And so as I tried to get more into New Zealand culture, Kiwi culture, from this one actress who lived there and actually knew him in real life. And we spoke years ago, and she told me straight up he's Black. But then I also know that she's white and she doesn't like being called white. So I always wondered, is he really Black and just that and not nothing else? Now, I do know when it comes to like Australia and New Zealand, their Black people are mixed with other stuff. Normally, their Black people are mixed with either Pacific Islander or I think it's called Maori. I think it's called. That's how you pronounce it. I'm not really sure. And then some of them are mixed with Samoan and stuff. So I do believe if indeed he has some Black in him, he is probably mixed with either Samoan or like, you know, Maori or like something around that thing. So if indeed he is Black, if Steph was, you know, because she said he is, and like I know, because there's like I talked about this one show a long time ago called Filthy Rich, and that dude on the show was half Black and half either Maori or Samoan or something like that. And because they got that hair, you know what I'm saying, that really good hair and everything. But then I remember a time I did look at him, I'm just like, I do kind of see some Black features in you, but then I see some other features in you as well. So he's also another one who never got demoted. But it's just weird that the other two who were demoted, you know, got their positions taken over by a person who is white. Oh, I forgot about the dude from Beast Morphers. He was a Red Ranger as well, and a really good one. And he had to give up the power because he got a promotion, but still he had to give up the power. But I completely forgot about him. Oh, and while we're on the topic of Jack, I noticed something just now. I just realized is that, you know how like every Power Ranger show, every Ranger for most part get their own solo episode. Well, except for the Gold RPM Ranger and the Alien Rangers. But pretty much every Ranger gets their own solo episode. A Red Ranger gets more episodes because one, they're the team leader. And sometimes the season will actually focus more on the Red Ranger. Jungle Fury, Mystic Force, stuff like that. And even a little bit of like, Ninja Storm, they always try to focus more on like what's more going on with the Red Ranger and stuff, because they are the leader. And Jack had some like solo episodes and some things focused on him, but I noticed something. SPD seemed to focus more on Sky than it ever did Jack. And Sky was the Blue Ranger. He was the Blue Ranger who wanted to be red, and he couldn't get along with Jack that much. And I noticed that was always so weird. I was like, okay, they made the Red Ranger black, but then the show doesn't even really focus on him. It focused more on like the Blue Ranger who's white. Even so much going as far as him being like, doing it for his dad, and Jack gave him his battleizer, which was the first time we ever saw another Ranger morph into like that of like, another Ranger and then use the battleizer. I always thought that was kind of odd and weird in the writing and stuff. And so I'm still happy that Amelia is a Red Ranger. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is something that's been like, I've been wanting to see for a long time. There was two things I've always wanted to see. I've always wanted to see a full-time female being a Red Ranger, and I wanted to see a full-time Asian guy who's like either Chinese, Japanese, Taiwan, or something like that. Take over or become like, a Red Ranger and stuff. I'm cool with the one dude being mixed with black and Asian, but I didn't even know he was Asian. I just wanted to see like, I assume an Asian person like looks like, no disrespect to him in no way like that, but you know what I'm saying. And because I remember I talked to the actress who played Ollie. No, I think it is Ollie, whoever the Blue Dino Fury Ranger is. I talked to that actress because I always wonder, like, isn't this dude like Asian and aren't you like something completely different? But then she told me what she is. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're mixed with like all of this. Because I was wondering, like, how are y'all related on the show? And stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not trying to take away from Amelia's big day. I know Hunter is like ecstatic and everything like that, you know what I'm saying? But I've always wondered, like, why did she take over? Why did they make her this way? Like, is there a special reason? Because now it contradicts big time that whole in space of TJ getting demoted and everything. So now people can probably be like, well, if Andros never existed, they could have just been off in space and doing their own thing and trying to manage the best way they could. You know what I'm saying? And so now this kind of irks me whenever I think about in space now. Because when TJ got demoted, I was like heartbroken, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, no, he was the first black like dude to be a Red Ranger, that I've never seen that in the show before. And then he just straight up get like demoted and everything. Because like when it comes to the black guys playing Rangers before TJ, you had Zach who was second in command, but never really act like he was second in command because he was too busy dancing around and trying to get with Angela and stuff. And then you had Aisha come in and she was just kind of like, just there. And everything. And Tanya, like, I still don't know if Tanya was a teenager or an adult or a teenager or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, wasn't she like a kid who later just grew up to be like a teenager and stuff? And then, of course, she had like the baseball, and there was some more stories about her, and she had some interesting storyline when it came to her parents. But I remember that one parent storyline, and that's the reason why I didn't talk about that for my Black History Month, is because when she went looking for her parents and all this other stuff, and I think that one tribal looking dude who was like an ally of theirs, it didn't really focus on her or her finding her parents. It had to do with something completely different, and then they later crammed her back into the episode. And I remember telling you that, like, when it came to Black History Month and me trying to find, like, episodes for certain people, like Joel from Lightspeed Rescue, I could not find a good Joel episode that made him, like, something worthy of celebrating and stuff. because Joel was always written to be like a selfish, like, oh, pretty boy type, think he's all that type person, And I found the hardest time trying to find an episode of him that I could like praise for like the Black History Month, and a couple of others also. Who does Deborah play? Katie from Time Force. You can't find a good Katie episode. I had the hardest time trying to find one and everything. Like, I had a hard time trying to find one and stuff. And I had to go review that one episode I had because it was hard to find and stuff. But yeah, that's like my only complaint about like Amelia being like, the Red Ranger leader is just why? Why did he have to get demoted? Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.